This episode of the Boss Rush Podcast is brought to you by, well, you. If you want to learn how to support the Boss Rush family of podcasts, head to bossrush.net or our Patreon at patreon.com/bossrushmedia. Thanks for helping us build something better. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Boss Rush Podcast, a great place to play games and be better. I'm one of your hosts, Corey Deering, and alongside me, as always, is the PC muscle race himself, LeRon Dawkins.
Hey, what's poppin'?
Back.
From his back once again. Back. Guess who's back?
Tell a friend.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Hi, LeRon.
I missed you guys.
I missed you too, LeRon.
I missed you so much. I hurled accusations in our text chat.
You did. LeRon's mad at me for some reason, and I still don't know why.
And I'm just confused.
Also joining us is the mad pharmacist herself, Stephanie Klimov, getting ready to go on vacation.
Yes, I am bringing my Spawn with me to Super Nintendo World.
Oh, you say it like
Your Spawn.
I think we call them Koopas.
Let me tell you something. The experience of packing for a trip with a child is like no other. He's like, I'm going to bring these 3 stuffed animals and my Minecraft book that's 10 pounds. I'm like, no, this is not how you pack.
Speaking of Koopas, I finally saw the Super Mario movie, but we can get past the intros and all. First,
I still got to introduce PK Power. Pat Klein is here.
Yeah, I'm part of this.
He's here.
I'm here.
I wasn't trying to discount you. That's why I said we'll get through the intros. That's why I said
I may be like, Milwaukee may be covered right now in a very thick smog, but I am behind that smog.
So is Ohio, man. I could hardly breathe and my eyes burn real bad right now. It's awful.
It's yesterday it got up to almost 300 on the scale, which is considered hazardous.
Yeah, I don't know what it is here. My wife sent me a picture and it's purple. Very unhealthy is what it says.
Jeez.
272 is what it was today, midday. So
yep.
My eyes were burning. When I woke up, like I thought I was crying and I didn't know why. And then I went outside and it was like on fire. It was awful.
Yeah.
So, anyways, for those of you who don't know, as of this recording, Canada is on fire and it's drifting down into the Midwest. So Pat and I are getting it.
Yep.
Canada's giving it to us.
We're not talking about the good fire either, or the fun fire. We're talking about the bad fire.
Yeah. Get some cream, it burns. Anyways, this is the first time the whole crew's been back in a long hot minute. We have too many guests, too many cool guests. Not enough time for ourselves, vacations. Sometimes both. So anyways, I'm glad you guys are all here. How's everybody feeling? Everybody feeling good? LeRon, how was your vacation?
My vacation it was great. It was great. It was my first time ever being out in California, so like San Francisco was a treat. It was definitely something.
San Francisco treat.
San Francisco treat. No, I did not have any rice-a-roni while I was out there. No.
Is it the other San Francisco treat?
Oh boy!
Which treat was that? The insidiously cold weather.
Ooh, do you go to the Ghirardelli Chocolate Factory?
Twice. Twice.
Damn.
Do they still hand out chocolate squares at the entrance?
Ghirardelli Square. Oh my God, that place was amazing. Like in Ghirardelli Square, they had like this indoor mini golf course, which was very freaking it was unique because it was all 18 holes was like different landmarks in San Francisco and stuff. So that was amazing. Right across that was an arcade. So my boyfriend and I we divvied up our time between both the mini golf and the arcade place and stuff like that. He He crushed me in the Star Wars pinball game, which I'm kind of fuming about. But I wiped the floor of him in Dance Dance Revolution, so there's that.
I love Ghirardelli.
Oh yeah, Ghirardelli. I didn't even. I still can't get the answer to the question. Like, is the Ghirardelli chocolates from that place, or like is that an import from Italy? You know, like what is? I still never got that answer.
I don't know. I don't pay attention. It just tastes good. It's just delicious.
Wait, so here's the question: Ghirardelli or Lindt?
Ghirardelli. Lindt does too much. They do too much.
I don't even know what Lindt is. So
it's the little decadent chocolate balls that usually have they have all sorts of stuff in them, but most of it is always hazelnut, and that gives me like numb tongue, so I can't eat that stuff.
Pass. Throw Cadbury into that mix. Cadbury wins.
I've never had a Cadbury.
I don't know. Ghirardelli, I don't know. Like that's some really smooth. What the hell was that? Some really smooth chocolate.
What was it, LeRon?
A screw just popped out of my headphones.
Oh no, LeRon's falling apart. He leaves for 5 seconds. Everything's falling apart.
Okay, that will to be determined later.
Ghirardelli is good and all, but have you ever had a Cadbury cream egg?
No.
Yeah, I have them. I have them every year around Easter time.
I've never had a Cadbury egg.
What? That's sacrilege. You at least have it. It's just like a thing.
That's what I hear.
Corey's like the most out of touch white guy I've ever met.
I'm the worst.
We will promote mutiny here.
Well, listen, it's one thing, if you had a Cadbury egg and you didn't like it, that's fine. Not everyone has to like the same thing. But, Cadbury egg is just so American. You had to have at least tried it.
Hold on. Let's test something here.
Wait, hold on. Corey's Jewish, though, so...
No, I'm not.
Oh.
Ha-ha!
My wife.
You have no excuse.
I'm gonna ask you a series of questions real quickly here. I need to see how out of touch with your whiteness are you. French fries and mayonnaise.
Yep.
What? Together?
Delicious.
He's already winning. French fries and your Frosty.
Yeah. I don't eat Frosties. They're too thick.
Frosties are too thick?
Yeah. They're not melty enough to be a milkshake, and they're not thick enough to be ice cream, and it really bothers me.
Okay, you know what? I can get down with that. I can.
So, I hate Frosties on that premise alone.
Okay, all right. I had a third question for you, but I'm going to leave it alone because if I ask that question, then people are going to be like, "Wow, LeRon is actually racist." So
ask for After Dark. Can we do a round of how white are you? And we'll ask everyone this, even if you're not white.
Yes. Yeah, because apparently I'm the most whitewashed black person people would ever meet.
Who cares?
Red bell pepper's hot. Kind of.
Red bell peppers. Actually, I was going to ask you the. Okay, you go to Chick-fil-A every now and then, right?
Yeah.
Have you had their sweet siracha sauce?
No.
Nah, I go with the Chick-fil-A sauce.
Yeah,
okay.
Chick-fil-A sauce.
If you never had it, then it ruins the question. Because I was going to ask you, is that too spicy for you?
Probably.
No. Here's what you do, LeRon. Here's what you do at Chick-fil-A. You take the Chick-fil-A sauce, and you take the mayonnaise, and you swirl them together on the bun, and then you fold the bun in half and make it
I've done that. That is amazing.
Full coverage, and then you do it on the bottom, and then it just oozes out the side.
Okay, I don't usually do it on the bottom, but I do it on both.
You do it on both sides. You got to take the pickle off too. No pickle.
No, I don't like my sandwich being a hot mess, but I will mix mayonnaise with the Chick-fil-A sauce and do that.
Oh, it's so good, man.
So
that's why I'm so fat, but it's fine. I haven't had Chick-fil-A in a while though, so
I haven't had Chick-fil-A in a while either.
Can't blame it on the Chick-fil-A. So, oh man, good times. What were we talking about? Oh, we were talking about your vacation.
Okay, yeah. So let's see.
That I'm white, everybody.
So let's see. Ghirardelli Square, went there twice. Saw the Golden Gate Bridge, but didn't actually go to the Golden Gate Park. I got pictures though. Like I got clear pictures of it. That was the other thing too. Apparently, like that week that I was there was like one of the best weeks because there was no fog, there was no overcast. Like it was completely clear. You could see basically everything and stuff like that. Went to the Sutro Baths location. Hiked Lands End Trail. Hiked the mile Lands End Trail because goddamn, like it's so much hills and so much climbing and stepping and all that stuff. Like, let's see. Rolled through Chinatown, but didn't actually walk through there because I think the part of Chinatown that we were at was not the part that you're supposed to like. You can just be a tourist and walk through.
Well, that and San Francisco's Chinatown is massive.
Yeah, but you know what? Honestly, I feel like at this point though, maybe it's just because I just didn't get a good enough exposure to San Francisco's Chinatown. I still feel like DC's Chinatown and New York's Chinatown probably are better. But that's just to all you Californians out there. It's just because I did not spend enough time out there in San Francisco Chinatown. So don't come at me completely. But you know, like just know maybe next time I get out that way, I'll do the full walkthrough. What else?
Stephanie showed me Boston's Chinatown, but she didn't let me go out the car door. She said it was too dangerous.
Oh damn.
Usually at night it's dangerous, and it's only like 2 blocks long, so it's not worth it.
What else?
Man, you said so. you said Chinatown, and it reminded me of this. There's this Irish comedian named David Nehill. I don't know if you guys know who he is or not, but like he like does all these jokes, like kind of bad mouthing America and everything. He's like, you guys put all the Asian people in a place called Chinatown. That's racist. We just let them live with us. It's funny. It's much funnier when he says it, but it's funny.
No, I got the gist of it.
Oh man, good times.
Saw Castro. Went to the Castro area. Went down Lombard Street, but did not go down the little squiggly like avenue. Didn't do that, but saw it and like man, like there's no way you could have got me to drive that. Let's see, Lombard, Dolores Park. That was pretty cool. What else? I'm trying to think. There's one other thing, but I'm missing it. It was fun though. Good times though. Good times. Like nice hotels. Our car got broken into. Our rental.
I saw that tweet.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. I got pictures. I meant to send to you. As a matter of fact, I haven't shared any pictures yet from whatchamacallit from my time. I took a ton of pictures. Well, I sent y'all the pictures that I placed of the Palace of Fine Arts. The Palace of Fine Arts. That shit looked like some shit out of Uncharted.
Yeah, I wasn't joking when I said that looks exactly like, you know, in Uncharted 4 when you're like climbing through that first area when you're in the prison and you kind of go
in the
back
prison.
through.
Yeah, that's what it reminded me of. That's exactly what it reminded me of.
Yeah, it was cool. Oh man, good stuff. Good.
Yeah.
Stuff.
While we were out there, we finished watching the first season of Andor. Good season, but I did not like when the season ended. I did not.
Yeah, but I mean, there's going to be another season, so.
Yeah, there's going to be another season. Yeah, that's true. But I mean, I'm just saying, like, y'all did this.
I mean, it was great build up. It got intense.
Mm-hmm.
The show did great. Like it was an entertaining show and things like that. It was just the way they ended. As far as cliffhangers go, that was a bad cliffhanger. Like it didn't really set anything up.
It set up the birth of the rebellion.
The rebellion was already birthed.
But they were like secretive, and now like the public is like, the Empire, like the whole thing was about the Empire tightening its grip and, causing the public to actually rebel. Like before it was all secret, like little guerrilla groups that was doing it.
Well, yeah, I get that. Yeah. But I'm just saying like, I don't know. I don't know. Plus, I'm also one of those people where, in all honesty, like cliffhangers kind of drive me nuts because, like, and I'm not saying this would happen with a Disney Plus show, but there's always the chance that you end your season on a cliffhanger and your show does not come back for a new season.
Very true.
Cliffhanger. So, like, if you're going to leave us with a cliffhanger, leave us with the most ambiguous cliffhanger you can. Don't leave us with something that directly means we have to come back and watch episode 1. For the new season. Because it's just maddening. Like years and years of watching TV and stuff. Like I've become jaded about that stuff. Like when I see that to be continued on a cliffhanger, and I'm like, man, like your show's not even guaranteed to be back in 26 weeks. Because like a lot of shows now, 10 episodes and it's gone for a whole year. Nah, but Andor was good. Like I give it a 4 out of 5. It was good enough. It was good enough that I had to come home and watch Rogue One.
Yeah,
nice.
Man, Rogue One. It's just.
I still think Rogue One is the best Star Wars movie.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty good.
It's there.
Pretty good.
Yeah, and this is saying it from someone who absolutely loves Empire Strikes Back.
It's so funny because like the first time I saw Rogue One, I was like, why do people like this movie? And then I watched it a second time, like I don't know, like 6 months later, I was like, oh man, I'm an idiot. This movie's awesome.
Well,
that's just me though.
Enough about me. How are you guys doing? Wait, so Stephanie, you're going to California, right?
Yes, I am. I'm flying out to LA.
Okay.
Universal.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Got an Airbnb. I'm just going with my son. It's like a guest house, so I won't be in the same house as the family. Not that it's a big deal. They have a pool, a jacuzzi. I'm renting a car. We'll be 15 minutes away from the park. We'll spend one day at Super Nintendo World. I got the early access, so we're gonna literally be there at 7 a.m., which sounds kind of crazy, but coming from the East Coast, 7 a.m. is not gonna hurt. Second of all, I'm pretty sure the lines are still gonna be long at 7 a.m.
Yeah, but it's cool because you're doing the thing.
I'm doing the thing. And then I got a 2-day pass. So the next day, I don't know, maybe Harry Potter World or Jurassic or whatever. I don't care about the second day. We'll just go do whatever. My cousin also lives in LA, the one I'm really close to, and he has a daughter around my son's age. So we're going to have a pre-4th of July cookout, just hang out. So it's going to be family and Super Nintendo Land. So this is my first big vacation, so to speak, in a long time, and my first one with my child. So,
well, that's exciting. You go have fun. Yeah. Buy all the toys. I don't know.
You
gotta send pictures of like the food and stuff from Nintendo Land World.
Oh, I'm gonna be all over that shit. Super Nintendo Land, yeah. I'll be all over that shit.
Yeah. Yes. Nice. Very excited for you. I'm too big for Super Nintendo Land, so
I get stuck in a pipe.
No, seriously, there's like height requirements and like width requirements on the rides, and I'm too big, so I can't ever go.
Aw.
So, I gotta live vicariously through your photos that you send to us.
Sure. And quick side note, prior to this recording, I was kind of just struggling with my son because he kept coming into the room like every few minutes. So just to summarize why I was kind of doubting my life was I was trying to be the good mom and kind of cut down on electronic time because I gave him my Switch. So I said, no Nintendo Switch tonight. You can do anything non-electronics for a half hour. And then he decided to build something with a cardboard box, scissors, and duct tape. And all I could hear was like things crashing and ripping and him not knowing how to cut duct tape. And by the time he showed it to me, it honestly looked like he cut it up and taped it back up to look the same. And so that's what I was thinking to myself. I'm like, was it worth it, Steph? You should have just let him play the Switch. So
that's fun. Super fun.
Great.
It's okay. On the other side of this curtain is a giant cardboard box with paper plates glued to it because my daughter made a car. And then there's balloons and streamers attached to it and like all this random stuff. So,
oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. So yeah, and then all over our house, all of her
Such a
crafts are
proud
hanging.
dad you are, Corey.
Yeah, I love my kids when they're asleep. So yeah, Pat, you got that cool statue.
Yes, I did. I would pick it up again, but then I'd wake up the cat.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah.
It's the Final
Yeah.
Fantasy Collector's Edition statue.
Yeah.
for
There's
the-
not a lot of gaming statues where I'd be like, yeah, I want that. No, that's one that I'm like, that would look real nice.
Yeah.
This is my first like gaming statue too. Like I'd never
Ooh.
go like get collector's editions with the giant statues because they usually cost an arm and a leg, and
Yep.
this one needlessly did. But like the phoenix is like my favorite mystical like creature,
Mhm.
and when I saw it first initially announced, it's like I have to have this, and I love it. It is so colorful. It is so detailed, and you know, I'm debating on taking it to work and just kind of putting it on my desk.
Well, that's
Don't
nice
take it to work.
to
Don't
hear
take it
you.
to-
I hear the excitement and love for it that you have in your voice, so I could tell it's worth the
Mhm.
purchase. And I know what you mean, man. Like I saw, Wario 64's updates, and there was a restock of the Resident Evil 4 Collector's Edition, which I don't need a new Resident Evil. I have the game, but it has the Leon S. Kennedy statue, and I'm like, oh, I want Leon S. Kennedy on my desk, but I'm not paying $250 for it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Nah, I definitely recommend if you want to get a gaming statue, definitely like get one for something you know
Hmm.
you will absolutely love and need.
Yes. Like this.
So cute.
Yep.
Yeah, that was $12. Sorry. No, but I do have all the Destiny ones up there behind me, and those are pretty penny. So I hear you. I actually got rid of a bunch of them recently, so because I just don't care anymore,
Hmm.
So, also found some cool other things while I was going through some stuff at my parents' house. So I found that Fable 3 Collector's Edition like book. That's like the game came in, and you like open it up, and it has like all these things in it, these trinkets.
Nice.
Super cool.
Speaking of
Then I've-
books, super quick. Sorry, the Final Fantasy XVI art book was up for pre-order, and I shared it with Pat. It's not coming out till March of next year. I'm like, what the hell?
Mhm.
I'm like, interesting, but
I mean, that might be a placeholder date too.
Maybe, but
Maybe.
that's an art book I want.
Maybe, I mean, unless Final Fantasy 16 is getting DLC and they want to wait till the DLC's out because it might spoil it,
Mm.
possibly. I don't know.
That's a
I haven't finished the
good
game yet.
question.
So I don't know.
I think he intended it to just be like the game being complete.
Yeah.
I think was the original intention, but I've also heard them say if people demand it, they will create DLC.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, I think they just don't want to fall in that trap that Final Fantasy 15 fell into, where they promised all this DLC and then they canceled half of it because nobody bought it.
Mm.
I got
Although-
the book that has the last 4 in it. I haven't read it yet, but
Mhm.
I have the ending part of the story, and I
Yeah.
will read it sometime.
That's sad. I really liked Final Fantasy 15 a lot, but I apparently like all the Final Fantasies that no one likes, so I'm not a real gamer.
If you like 2, we'll have to talk.
2? I've never played
Yeah.
2, so like
2.
Japan 2, not
Japan 2.
no. I've never played 2.
Yeah, that's the one that I kind of stepped my foot down. It's like, no, this wasn't that good.
Yeah. I know people like 9. I love 9, but I like 10.
Mhm.
I like 12. I like 13, and I like 15,
Mhm.
and nobody likes those. So apparently,
I think the only one is 13, but with all the hate that 16 has gotten, I cannot wait for people to start saying 13 is clearly the pinnacle of the Final Fantasy series before it started to fall. Because that's how it works, you gotta give it like 3 to 4 like iterations before they become a classic.
yeah. Man, 13's awesome though. 13.2 is way better, but
Oh yeah,
so
Nah,
anyways,
13 had promise.
enough about that. We should talk about Final Fantasy 16.
Mhm.
Let's talk about
Sure.
what we're playing. Final Fantasy 16.
Yes.
So I So I was like really excited for this game. I was like, yes, Final Fantasy 16 looks so awesome. Like story trailers. I tried to stay away from a lot of it because I wanted to go in like, you know, whatever. And reviews started coming out, and they're like, "Oh man, there's like no RPG in it. It's just a 60-hour Devil May Cry game." I'm like, really? I don't want to play that. I don't want to play that. You know, and I'm like, I really like DMC, but I don't like any of the other ones. I'm like, I don't want to play that for 60 hours. So I'm like, oh, no, I just, all hope left my body for this game. And then everybody kept saying, oh no, it's good. You should play it. It's like Devil May Cry. It's like Devil May Cry. I don't want to play it. And then Pat's like, just play the demo. I'm like, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think Stephanie told me to play the demo too. And so I played the demo. Whoever said this plays like Devil May Cry has clearly never played Devil May Cry before. That's all I'm saying. You guys are all dumb.
Well, that's why, and sorry to step away for a second, but I do remember you mentioning that and like in our chats. I have yet to understand why this loud minority is bitching so hard. Now, maybe I'm not the right person to say that because I'm more of a newbie with Final Fantasy. Not because I never liked it. I just, I just fell in the Zelda camp and just went there, right? The only Final Fantasy I really dabbled in was like 10-2, and then I got lost and gave up. So, this being my first true Final Fantasy that I will finish, from that perspective, I love it. But it's also because I'm more of an action person than an RPG person, which it's still an RPG, but it is a action RPG with real-time combat. So I freaking love it. But again, it's just because it's, for example, not the turn-based one doesn't automatically make it a bad game. It's just not that type of RPG that you like. So I don't know. I kind of struggle with. I just feel bad. It's a great quality game. I had no bugs. It's beautiful. Boss
Don't
battle.
feel bad.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad.
Yeah.
No. Here's what I'm going to say about it, because my roommate bought Final Fantasy 16, which is why my PlayStation is not sitting on my desk right now. It's downstairs in the living room as he plays it. But nobody defined what Final Fantasy 16 was going to be, let alone what any other Final Fantasy game is going to be throughout all these years and stuff like that. These games started off, of course, as turn-based RPG games and stuff like that, and they had the more traditional aspects of role-playing games. But if we look at how role-playing games have evolved and stuff like that, and especially evolved with the community and stuff like that, I would be the first one to say it. Like, I kind of fell out of love with RPGs because they got stale to me. Like, it seemed like the formula was all the same, the storylines were all the same, the gameplay was all the same and stuff like that. And something had to get shaken up, as far as I was concerned, which is why I didn't take another. Back when Monster Hunter was touted as an action RPG, I told myself this is the last RPG, quote unquote, that I'm going to play. If it's good, if it's bad, whatever, it's the last one. Monster Hunter proved to be something different, but we're not talking about Monster Hunter. We're talking about RPGs, though. I really did not come back to RPGs until Mass Effect. And I almost didn't play Mass Effect because Mass Effect, the original one, has an RPG formula to it and stuff like that. But it had a more dynamic, like interactive system with the story and stuff that made it much more appealing to me and stuff like that. And then more and more Western RPGs kind of crept into like my mix, like, The Witcher and stuff like that, And then I realized that I do like role-playing games. I just don't like the old formula of turn-based combat, which is crazy because like I will get down some turn-based combat when it's a strategy RPG. You give me Final Fantasy Tactics or any of its ilk, like Deofield Chronicles, all that stuff. Yeah, I'm playing that. But as far as like traditional RPGs, like no, not really.
And it's so funny because I used to play JRPGs all the time, and then I think don't laugh. I think the turning point was actually Kingdom Hearts because that was like the first kind of quote unquote real action RPG that I played, and it changed everything because it still had the menu system like traditional RPGs had, but like the combat was, at the time, I thought it was fun, and there's a lot of aspects to that game that made it feel more kinetic and more, obviously more action based. And like ever since then, like JRPGs, there are a few that I enjoy, and there have been ones that have kind of like emulated an action type game, even though it's still like a turn-based. Like Final Fantasy 12 is a good example. Xenoblade Chronicles, I think, is another example of like at least you can move around the world while you're like while your attacks kind of charge up or whatever.
Hey, no
And
laughter
so
there. I mean, Kingdom Hearts. That was my same experience.
yeah. So
I enjoyed Kingdom Hearts because of the fact that like it was. If you remember when Chrono Trigger came out, it was the ATB system, which is the active time battle system. Kingdom Hearts basically was the full evolution of that actual like mode of gameplay, and I enjoyed it because like it was fast, it was frenetic. It didn't really kill the pacing of the game because I mean like seriously back in those days, if you wanted to pause your game, like you just had it hang open in the window during the battle, But with this, like like it forced you to keep the game moving and stuff like that. So yeah, I appreciated Kingdom Hearts for all the shit talking I can say about Kingdom Hearts. I appreciate it for that aspect alone, as far as combat and things of that nature. 16 though, like I've been watching my roommate play 16 because like I'm not sure when I'm going to play 16. I'm not sure if I'm waiting for it. I might wait for him to beat it and then play it myself on my PS5, or I may just wait for the PC version because like
6 months, man.
I feel like it's going to be a year.
Well, the exclusivity time period is only 6 months, according to the FTC ruling filing.
Oh, of course. Okay. Well, we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, but I mean, 16 looks amazing. 16 looks like the game that I wanted to play when I first saw the preview. What was it, like a year ago when they actually wait?
It was like 2 or 3 years ago.
2 years ago because it was at a PlayStation showcase. That's right.
It was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just before COVID.
Yeah, that looks like the game that I want to play, and it looks like the game that I wanted to play back when I first saw it, and it still looks like that game.
It is that game.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is that game. Like you said earlier, it like sucks for Xbox that they couldn't get this, but in all honesty though, like it's a market game. Like I think I've said that time and time again. Like when I'm on Nintendo Power Block every so often, it's like like it's market. Like where they think it's going to sell the most units, or where will they do the most success. And stuff like that. Because like ultimately these companies worry about their Metacritic scores and all that stuff. Because this is how they get their money and their funding to make their next game, stuff like that. Even though Square Enix doesn't really have to worry about that so much, but like for example, like some of these other companies that get ground into dust, like I don't know what's going to happen to Striking Distance Studios after Callisto Protocol.
Yeah, I think they're going to get to make a sequel or a follow up to that. I really do.
I think so. I think so too.
Yeah,
but there's going to be a small leash on them this time, though.
Yeah. So, but Final Fantasy 16, man, those opening 2 hours it's some of the best game. It's some of the best game I've played maybe ever. And it's like, man, so we've all kind of been playing Zelda, right? And so I'm like playing Zelda, and then I download Final Fantasy 16 and I start playing Final Fantasy 16, and then I just get so mad because I want Nintendo to make a Zelda game that looks like this so bad. And it's like, oh my gosh, man, this game looks incredible. It plays incredible. The frame rate, like I've been playing it on performance mode, really. And so it juggles between like 40 and 50 frames a second, which isn't great, but also like fidelity mode is a locked 30, and I like how it feels at the faster frame rate. So I've been playing that, but when you're in combat, it runs at like a fluid 60, which is weird. Like the combat parts are like the strongest parts of the frame rate. But yeah, man, this game is incredible. Pat, you've played a lot more than I have, but
yeah, I would probably be pretty close to halfway through the game right now.
Yeah.
But this game is absolutely incredible. As a massive RPG fan, I am very impressed with what this game did. Yes, I understand the gripes about the battle system. This is probably the most simplest Final Fantasy battle system you ever have to worry about. Like, it's really just 3 buttons, your attack, your magic, your dodge. And then occasionally they throw another button in later on, for like power-ups. But and also the fact that there are no status effects in this game. So your first boss is the Marlboro, and he was always known for his bad breath, which hit you with every status effect in the book. And now it's just, damage.
Yeah.
So I can understand some gripes about that. It definitely takes away some of the complexities that you had to worry about. But at the same time, I feel like where the gameplay slightly lacks, and I'm only saying slightly, the game is still very excellent in terms of its combat. The story to this game is just unbelievable. It is the most mature story that Final Fantasy has ever had. It is a very not Japanese
It's dark.
version of Final Fantasy. Like you aren't like you may occasionally catch like a cool little pose like of the dragoon who was standing on the tower top, in the
Hmm.
typical Final Fantasy manner. Yeah, that's a little Japanese-ish, but the rest of the game, you might as well just think you're watching something from Game of Thrones. Like they speak and act just like a normal like
Hmm.
British person
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
would. Um, the voice acting absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
Like they
Yeah.
grabbed amazing people for every single actor so far that I have seen. Like not
I
one of
love
them.
Sid. I love
Hmm.
Sid.
Yeah, and the cool thing, I like Corey actually just no, was it Corey? Yeah, no, it wasn't you. Was he? Was it you?
It was
Someone
me.
mentioned that Sid, also was in Diablo 4, and I realized like when I heard that, I'm like, oh my gosh, he's Lorath from Diablo 4 too. So
It wasn't me.
it wasn't you. Okay,
No.
I think it was Chris then.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And like
From yeah.
this is the guy who does both of this is he's got such a deep voice. Like it's a voice that you picture a mentor having. Like it's perfect.
Hmm.
Even Clive's voice absolutely spot on.
Hmm.
Like everything this game does is just amazing, and it's probably this could very well be one of my most favorite Final Fantasies. It might actually beat 6. We'll see. We'll see how it concludes.
Yeah.
But
This
it's
game
good.
is the look of this game, like even the character models, even like how sometimes you play a Final Fantasy game and like all the main characters look like they've been properly like you know handcrafted, and then you get to town and like all the townspeople kind of just look like variations of each other and not well defined or anything. Like even the side characters and the characters with no names or faces, right, are like completely detailed. And
Hmm.
it's I really I, I really am enjoying the story. And man, that the end of the demo, man, so like gut wrenching, like, oh my gosh, are you kidding?
Yep.
Oh
Oh. And that. Oh yeah, that reminds me. The other thing, the icon battles in this game,
yeah.
like the director made a very strong point in saying no icon battles alike in this game. That they are meticulously handcrafted uh, to just be able to, just be the most wildest, most unimaginable thing that you could possibly even try to imagine. It's
Hmm.
like taking the Final Fantasy Advent Children's final battle and literally turning it into gameplay.
Yeah.
Like it is crazy. You almost like I'm glad that there are parts in the game where it just kind of lets you watch what's going on, with occasionally like little button prompt because I am just super impressed with like just how those battles play out.
Yeah.
It is literally a final boss in every icon
Yeah.
battle.
Yeah. It's really cool. It's really something.
Hmm. Steph, do you like it?
The game
Yeah.
itself, overall, yeah, no, I'm really loving it. I just got to the boss battle with Benedicta and beat her.
Yeah. What'd you think?
Oh, it was a ton of fun. It was really just a blast. Like I'm probably not playing like a pro and chaining combos very well, but I've figured out my own rhythm and it's like just so satisfying.
Hmm.
And who did I speak to about it or hear from it that someone was complaining that there were like boss battles every 40 minutes or something. I love that shit. I love big ass epic battles frequently, and it's done very well.
Yeah.
I don't think it's too easy or too hard, and that's coming from someone who sucks at video games. So
Yeah.
being my first like full Final Fantasy, I love it, and I will admit I do appreciate the linearity, because me getting lost in the last Final Fantasy game, I just want to be able to enjoy a story.
Mhm.
And you still got a little bit of stuff where you can pick your abilities and select like what rings or badges you want to wear to kind of customize your build, so to speak. And again, just I can't get enough of the characters, the voice acting. I just looked up the voice actor for Sid, and it's actually an actor I recognize because his voice was so familiar. Everything about it, like I kind of forget, especially when I play on the Switch a lot, that games can be this gorgeous and cinematic. It's beautiful. I took like a bajillion screenshots.
I imagine you did.
Yeah, so
it's
great.
Yeah, I mean, look, I love Zelda. I love the way it looks. I think it's a very beautiful game, but it's just so laughably hilarious how different, graphics. I just like.
When I see Final Fantasy XVI, Corey, don't you wish that could be what the next Zelda game would look like?
Yes. I
Yeah.
look at Final Fantasy 16. I look at Horizon Forbidden West, and I'm just like, I need a Zelda that looks like that. Like, why can't Nintendo just give us that? Like, you know what I mean? And like, I love Tears of the Kingdom. I love Breath of the Wild. They are amazing video games, and they look amazing. But the look is because the system is so technically limited, and that's kind of what is so. I don't want to say it sucks, because it doesn't suck. It's kind of disappointing when you look at, what Microsoft and Sony can do on their platforms, because they're so much more powerful, and they like. Granted, Nintendo probably has like a fraction of the cost of what these games cost, because I mean, I don't know if you guys saw the leaked amounts of how much The Last of Us 2 and Horizon cost, but man, Nintendo's probably like a fraction of that, and which is fine for their business model, but like, man, could you imagine a $250 million budget Zelda game on a hardware that could actually like do that?
Yeah, but it's a pipe dream. But Final Fantasy 16 is what got me thinking, and I know it's too soon for it, but like, what would be a game of the year? And like, I'm personally having this battle between Final Fantasy and 16 and Zelda now, because at first Zelda was going to be my shoo-in, but with Final Fantasy 16, I'm like, oh, maybe. Jury's still out, because I might still lean towards Tears of the Kingdom just based off of what it brings gameplay wise. But as far as blowing my mind with just awesome story and visuals and music, I mean, Final Fantasy 16 is well done, which goes back to my initial thing of like, when I say LeRon, like, I feel bad, not for the gamers. I feel bad for the people that work so hard to put Final Fantasy 6, the team that put it together, because these bitches online that are complaining about it don't know what the fuck they're talking about. It's a great game.
It happens every time there's a blockbuster, and I feel like, and honestly, I feel like I could be in that camp sometimes, because like I kind of skewer Square Enix when they're pimping out like games that aren't Final Fantasy, because like the quality of those games looks so fucking bad compared to Final Fantasy games themselves. Final Fantasy games in name, like the main Final Fantasy games, because that Stranger in Paradise game, oh my god, that it had Final Fantasy name in it, but man, what the hell,
It was fun.
But,
people actually rave about that one.
That game was fun.
Is it because the joke is finally the meme, or what?
I think the meme definitely. I think the meme helped, but yeah, it's dark and different, and I think people like that.
And it's like nowhere near on the same scale of production as Final Fantasy 16 by any stretch, but like as a sort of reimagining of Final Fantasy 1, and like the combat that they did, and just like the way the game works, I actually think Strangers of Paradise was actually pretty good.
I don't have real experience of it because all I watched were people's Let's Plays, and I was like, "What the hell am I watching?" You know, it was literally one of those
chaos.
Well, they also tried to make a Souls light out of it too. You know, it was like a mix. It was kind of like, you know what it felt like? It actually felt a little bit like Neo, a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it was Team Ninja.
But then like Forspoken, like just man, like I wanted that game. I want that game to be impressive and stuff like that, and it just has not done the thing.
I still want to check that game out at some point. It'll probably come to PlayStation Plus at some point, I'm sure. But like, I still want to like give it its due. I feel bad over the last like couple years and over the last, really kind of us talking to developers and stuff and how hard they work and how much they care about these things. It like I feel really awful making fun of the games especially the ones I don't play, So, but also I did play this Forspoken demo and it was fine, but
I find myself at those crossroads too, because like I understand like the developers, like, like a lot of them pour blood, sweat, and tears into the games and stuff like that. But there's also sometimes I'm like, you guys are a AAA studio that have been around for decades, and this is what we got. I can understand like if you guys were like, well, like like a few years fresh. You know what I mean? But some of these people and like some of the talent behind Forspoken have been pioneers behind some of the most beloved Final Fantasy games, and like this is what we wound up with. I'm like some of these names are on fucking Final Fantasy X, which is heralded as one of the best of the next gen like Final Fantasy games.
It's my favorite Final Fantasy is 10.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like the colors.
I got Forspoken as from a buy one get one free deal at GameStop.
Hey, that's how you do it.
But I still, that's the thing. I still want to give it a fair playthrough, despite of the reception or whatever. But it's going to be one of those things like maybe when it's in the dead of winter and I'm finally catching up on something.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah. But Final Fantasy 16, good game. We'll play after I finish Zelda. I have to finish Zelda first now though, because like A, we got to finish up book club, but B, like if I start playing Final Fantasy 16, I won't go back to Zelda for a while. Like, you know what I mean? And it's like with Zelda, which I've also been playing a lot of Zelda, but like with Zelda, like I love it. I love the world and I love the abilities and stuff. I'm having the same feeling that I had with the Division 2, where like I really loved the first Division and I thought I wanted more Division, and I got like 10 hours.
I love the original Division. I loved it.
Man, the Division 1 was so good. And like the Division 2 was good too, but it's like I already played 100 hours of this game. And it's not like it has an end game like Destiny where you really want to go back in and be like, I gotta grind for the epic AK-47 because it's yellow and it's better than my blue. I was like,
yeah. Fatigue is real. I mean, that's Ubisoft has just learned that the very hard way. Is when you make all your games and all the sequel to this games almost the exact same.
Yeah, and it's like, and also playing Zelda, like my favorite parts of Breath of the Wild were not like the main quest. It was going off to do all these random things. And I'm kind of like shoehorning myself into finishing the main quest for book club. And it's like, it's not prohibiting my enjoyment of the game. It's just like, every time I see something, I get distracted by something. I'm like, don't go there. You gotta go finish this thing. You gotta go finish it.
Well, my personal struggle with Tears of the Kingdom, and after I beat the game, I actually haven't really picked it back up, was I was more attracted to the main storyline because that's kind of what is the most different compared to Breath of the Wild. And I'm disappointed to admit that I don't really have much of a desire to go and collect more Koroks, get all the armor sets, do all the side quests, which were the things for Breath of the Wild because it was so novel that I was willing and wanted to do. I wanted to get all the armor sets. I wanted to do all the, but I'm like, I've kind of been there before. I don't know if I want to, I don't think I need to do that. I probably still will go back and kind of, at least, maybe not the Koroks, but do everything else. But the fire isn't there before because It's kind of the same thing. Like, I was obsessed with finishing every single shrine in Breath of the Wild. I technically have not gotten all the shrines yet on Tears of the Kingdom, which is a little unusual for me. So, I don't. I really. I hate to say it, but I kind of hope that the next mainline 3D Zelda game is a little bit more linear and just change it up, like you said, Pat. Like, not do Ubisoft and make everything the same now.
Yeah. No, I'm all in the same boat here. I probably will go back to Zelda again at some point after I get the hardbound strategy guide that's supposed to come out next month.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that way I don't have the time where I could just like I have so many more games to play.
Yeah.
So I want more of a direct route.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I mean I want to finish Zelda, but Zelda will become the game that I play like a half hour, 45 minutes before bed now, right?
Yeah.
Or if I'm not trying to play something else, right? That's what it's going to become to finish up the shrines and the Koroks and stuff, because that's what it was with Breath of the Wild also, right? Like I found all the Korok seeds and did all the shrines and did all of the quests, but that took me like months to do, right? Like I wasn't sitting there like for 3 weeks just grinding away 10 hours a day at it, right? So
yeah, we don't have to finish the Zelda right away. We're not going to get another brand new one for another like 6 years at least.
Right. Tears of the Kingdom is definitely a marathon, not a sprint game.
Yeah. So
well, let me ask you guys some questions real fast about Tears of the Kingdom, like because I'm hearing a lot, and I'm hearing a lot of people say like it's one of the most complex Legend of Zelda games ever. Is that true?
Mm-hmm. I would
definitely
agree.
want a game that gives you the most freedom out of any Zelda game.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I think the complexity comes about like the vehicle building, where in like the abilities they give you, like Ascension like breaks the game essentially.
Yeah.
But where you can like anytime you're in a cave and the ceiling is within like 20 feet of your head, you can go up it. And like I did that in in the Goron city when I was like down in some cavern, and I went up through with Ascension and I ended up at the top of the volcano, right? Like it, and that's how I got up there. I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is where I'm supposed to be, I guess.
Right. That and it's kind of brilliant how Nintendo set up like the sky and the depths. So even though there's not terribly much to do up in the sky, but they're all kind of combined. You need to do a bit of both, because if you really want to do well in the depths, you need to collect like the Sundy lions, which are generally up in the sky, because if you get your hearts depleted down in the depths, you need to recover them with ingredients found in the Sundy lion, and then you need what you mine in the depths to be turned into batteries to make stuff while you're up on the regular land. So like it's a big kind of cycle that you go through. And with Breath of the Wild, yeah, there's several ways to tackle like a shrine or an obstacle. It's like exponentially multiplied in Tears of the Kingdom. It's crazy. I saw a video of someone beating the crap out of a Lionel by using a floating block they made, attaching a fan and then a wooden plank to the fan, and turn the fan on, and the wooden plank spun around and just beat the shit out of that Lionel. And the guy just stood there. I would have never thought of that.
Yeah. So I mean, there's also like, man, the weapon degradation stuff really sucks still too. Like I still am annoyed that you can't just like craft weapons to make them stronger or even unbreakable at some point. But I think the shrines are still the best part of that game. Those shrines are incredible. They're even better than the ones in the first game. And the dungeons were better. Dungeons were way better than the Divine Beasts from the first game.
Oh yeah. See, this is why I'm still considering Tears of the Kingdom my game of the year, not just because it's Zelda, but the fact that Nintendo was able to somehow improve upon Breath of the Wild. Not that Breath of the Wild was bad, but they took that great game already, built upon it, and somehow created even more ways to spend your time in that game. Like, it's just different.
Yeah.
As much as I personally kind of just not complained, but just kind of lamented, like, well, a lot of aspects of it, it's similar or the same as Breath of the Wild, just done differently. Like with the Koroks. It's still there.
Yeah. So I will keep trucking along, but I really want to play Final Fantasy 16. I'm like itching to play it.
Mm-hmm.
LeRon, what are you playing? Show me the
On
thing.
your fancy device.
I'm not playing any actual like new or fancy video games. As a matter of fact, I'm playing a bunch of old shit on the Asus. If you would turn on the Asus ROG Ally. Like okay, so yeah,
I
I've been
see
playing around with
Stephanie in it.
this.
And me.
So I've been playing around with this thing for about 2 weeks now, and you know what? I will say this: this is what I've been looking for in a fucking handheld. Like, it plays PC games, and of course, because like it is a handheld PC, of course, there's other things you can do with PC besides just play PC games.
So what you're telling me is you're playing Metroid Dread on that thing?
Thanks for the idea. Thanks for the idea, actually. But no, like so right now I've got like Spider-Man, the Spider-Man remastered on here. But yeah, like I just went ham with this thing. Like I just started downloading a whole bunch of this really random stuff, from my library. Like Detroit Become Humans on here, the Dead Space remakes on here, of course Monster Hunter's on there, Mega Man 11. I got some old school games in there like Ori and Will of the Wisps, War Groove, Sonic Mania, Jet Set Radio, stuff like that. I've just been playing around with it and stuff. It's an experience, and like now I'm torn because now I want to put my hands on a Steam Deck just to see what the major comparisons are. This between the two. This is a wonderful experience though, like with all the gaming profiles, like like playing around with like the performance mode and the different wattages and stuff like that, and really like pushing it. Like trust me, like playing this thing, like okay, of course the elephant in the room is the battery. Mm-hmm. That's the elephant in the room, right?
That was what I was going to ask you about.
Yeah. Okay. So I've been able to play games and they actually look very decent, and actually been able to get more than 2 hours of juice out of my battery, from like 100% till when it says you need to plug this bitch in because it's about to die, But I've also been able to like play it plugged in and play it full tilt in the performance mode. I'm sorry, in turbo mode, and like Spider-Man and Detroit Become Human look exactly like they would have looked on their console versions, if not the PC versions that they're actually based off of, stuff like that. So this thing is a powerhouse. Like I'm enjoying it. Like there's the fact that you
was it worth the $700 price tag of that thing?
Okay, here's the thing about it. If $700 is too pricey for you, I would say go ahead and spend the money on the Steam Deck. Honestly, because like you're going to get comparatively the same like bang for your buck. But for enthusiasts out there that they want like the best portable PC gaming experience out there and stuff like that, that's what the Asus ROG Ally is looking like, and stuff like that, and people are going to bitch and complain, about the fact that it's on the Windows platform, like when it should have been based off of Linux and all this stuff. But as a person who like I don't give two shits about Linux, like I know the Windows environment intimately, and stuff like that. There's no problems on this. And besides, if I run into a problem because I know a whole bunch of stuff about PC because I'm an IT guy, I can actually about Windows and stuff like that. I can actually like diagnose and figure out what the hell's going on. If something happens, if I had a Steam Deck, well, actually Steam Deck uses I can't remember what operating system is built off of. I actually had Steam OS. So like for people who are bitching and saying like like the ROG Ally should have been on a Linux based whatever. Guess what? I'm one of those people that I don't know shit about Linux. So like if something happens to the operating system side, I don't know the first way to diagnose it. So it's a double-edged sword. But circling back to everything, right? $700, yeah, because this is the Z1 Extreme model. And I'm going to tell you this right now, like for people who are thinking about it, just go ahead and pony up the extra $100. Trust me, for the additional features you get for it, it's worth it. It's worth it. It's only $100. But I can't tell. Huh?
This is what I have to say without actually holding that in my hand. First of all, it definitely looks sleeker and nicer than the Steam Deck, just in my opinion. In my
Yeah.
humble opinion as a Steam Deck owner. It has a
Yep.
better name than the Steam Deck. I hate saying Steam Deck. Number 3, I don't know how much of a difference it is, but I just looked up the difference in weight. So the ROG Ally is 608 grams. It's
Mhm.
hard for me to think of what that is. Steam Deck is 669 grams.
Ooh,
So
Mhm.
like 60 grams more. So like it's also lighter. So it's not saying I hate my Steam Deck and I don't like the Steam Deck anymore. No, I still like it, but it definitely has a design. The Rogue ROG Ally, the design is a lot more attractive to me.
Yeah, that's the one thing I will say because looking at aesthetics and stuff like that. Well, my main gripe is that this thing is white, which means like I gotta like
Racist.
I gotta keep it clean is the problem. I gotta keep it clean. That's the major thing right there. But in all honesty though, like I've had this thing for almost 2 weeks now, and it hasn't really gotten dirty.
Would you
in
like
my
to get
opinion.
like a skin for it?
You said skin?
Yeah, cool skin.
I actually
like a
would,
color
or
theme.
yeah, I actually would. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't mind. I would definitely love it if we had a gunmetal color, a gunmetal
Mhm.
gray. It doesn't have to be jet black. Like I would prefer for like a grayish color and whatnot. But um, there's just so much about this thing. Like I said, I'm enjoying it. And I'm tinkering with it. So like I'm doing things that are basically trying to push like the limits of this thing because I want to see what the hardware and stuff can actually do. And yes, to answer the question that I know is in everybody's minds, but nobody's asked it yet. Yes, I am putting emulators on this real soon. I am. I am because who would I be if I didn't try to emulate something on here?
It's fair.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm using new hardware to play a whole bunch of old games, but I'm enjoying myself doing in the process.
That's awesome. It's nice
Yeah.
to kind of get like a person to provide feedback on what that device is like. I don't know
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because I've
Yeah,
been
there's so many-
struggling. I've been struggling to like. I'm like, do I even need like a handheld, something like the Steam Deck or the Ally? And like, I'm like, well, Steam seems too complicated to like try to run Destiny and Game Pass stuff on. That just sounds like a nightmare for someone like me who doesn't care or know how to do any of that stuff.
I
Then-
can teach you.
Then
Mhm.
the Ally, but like I heard like, okay, battery kind of sucks. It's a nice device, but it overheats. A lot of the units are overheating and not reading SD card storage. And so I'm like, well, I guess that's like an early adopter thing. So like you're gonna have to take that risk as an early adopter as these units
Mhm.
become more available. I'm sure like the bad stock will get weeded out. Like, but then it's like, Xbox is really pushing this thing as their handheld, right? Like they're partnering with Republic of Gamers to push the Ally for Game Pass. And I'm like, okay, that sounds cool. But then I'm like reading that it doesn't really like, even though it's a Windows platform, sometimes the Ally doesn't read your cloud saves properly.
I haven't run into that. Okay, actually, I take that back. I did run into that problem for a minute, and then I figured out what it is. Like like for a lot of stuff, when you initially start a game, like you need to have like just really, really, really intermittent internet connection. Like once you get your cloud save and stuff like that, like you can turn the internet off. At that point and stuff like that.
I'm not planning on taking it with me anywhere. I just want to like watch
Oh,
TV while I'm playing it, or like I want to watch. I'm watching a movie with my wife and kids, and maybe I could run a few Destiny strikes. So I'm just gonna throw.
Wait,
it up on
you're
here.
watching a movie with wife and kids, and you gotta run some Destiny?
Yeah.
What a jerk.
Yeah.
Well, but
it's fine.
Yeah, but that's the thing, But you bring up a good point though, because like right now the only thing I have tied in this is my Steam account. I'm actually gonna like run my Game Pass account on there as well as my Epic Game Store because my EGS library is ridiculous, and I've never installed any of these games on my because all I do is log in every week, get the free games, and just move on. And there's 6 different platforms that like there's GLG, of course there's Steam, there's Game Pass. Epic Game Store, and there's 2 other ones. Huh?
BattleNet.
Battle.net, yeah. People are playing Diablo 4 right now, and I'm not playing Diablo 4 on this, but like I might drop StarCraft on here and see what it's like.
Ooh.
I might do that.
Ooh. Cool.
Yeah, and there's one other one that I'm forgetting. I think it's one of the ones that like not too many people mess with, but like it's there.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
you got
yeah,
me.
but yeah, there's six different platforms that like that this thing supports because it's a Windows based system. Like you don't have to hoop jump to like get Xbox, Xbox Game Pass to play and stuff like that. And this is not a knock against the Steam Deck because all I know is like the first few months though, everybody was like, "How do you get Game Pass?" and all that stuff. And like there's like these long like drawn out tutorials and stuff like that. Head to bossrush.net. Stephanie will tell you. Stephanie's articles tell you all about that. Actually, you read that stuff and it's long and everything, but Stephanie got it done, which means like the process is easy.
Yeah, if I can understand it, you can do it.
Exactly.
I'm like the antithesis of IT knowledge to LeRon.
That doesn't stop you from sliding my DMs every now and then and asking me questions, though.
No, it does not.
But yeah, that's much love, Stephanie. But no, I would actually like to get my hands on a Steam Deck, just to do some comparisons and stuff like that, and just to know for sure. But I feel like Corey, when they first unveiled the ROG Ally, I remember you and I both were saying, "I think I'm sold." You remember we both said that, even though a couple weeks earlier we had what's his name from
Steam
from
Deck
the
HQ.
From Steam Deck HQ. I cannot remember his name.
Noah.
We had him on there, and he basically sold us on a Steam.
I know. I think LeRon, you and I are so desperate for some sort of high-end handheld game that can play the games we already own somewhere or subscribe to or whatever, that like it doesn't matter what the device is, and I still think like the Steam Deck is a great device. Mm-hmm. My thought now is like there's two devices that I want. Do I wait to see what the second iteration of the Steam Deck is going to be now? Or do I just bite the bullet?
Valve says there's no plans for a volume 2 of the Steam Deck anytime soon, though.
It's because they're still trying to sell units. Nintendo also says they have no plans for a successor to the Switch yet. And today they confirmed that they're in talks with Activision and Ubisoft for the next gen. So Yep.
Yeah. But that was the other thing I was going to say, right? Because you guys Pat, you probably haven't heard me say this because like you haven't been with us on the Bossers podcast, but Corey and Stephanie have heard me say like the biggest problem I have is like I have like this wonderful library of games on my PC that the only way for me to take them with me and play them would be to spend money on a gaming laptop that's the equivalent of my desktop PC to do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm not saying the ROG Ally, is like that $2,000 laptop that I want, but guess what? $700 is a hell of a lot more attractive than $2,000. Plus you have to carry it in a giant ass backpack, and stuff like that. Just take it with you and stuff like that. I can go to my mom's house now. I can go to my mom's house now and not have to worry about lugging a laptop with me, even though I will have to lug a laptop with me because I run an IT business, so I have to have a laptop with me to do work.
Yeah, but now you don't have to carry 2 laptops with you.
True. Well, no, because a few weeks back, Stephanie, you remember? I was doing backflips because I got Monster Hunter Rise to work on this beater of a laptop that I have, and my only complaint was it runs at 60 frames per second because it's a 60 hertz screen. Well, 120 hertz a handheld right here. Of course, Monster Hunter looks fucking amazing, but it's built on the Switch, so there's that.
Yeah. I mean, my main thing with the Steam Deck is that there are games that don't run natively on the Steam Deck because of security and cheat bot issues. Like Destiny is the game that I want to play in handheld mode the most, right? Just because it's like this grindy kind of RPG that I don't have a lot of time to like sit there and like, I don't have a lot of time, period. And if I can multitask at anything, right? It'd be incredibly helpful to do that.
I think it's time. I think I'm going to drop Destiny on here.
And
see what's up.
Yeah, you have to let me
I haven't even
know.
started Destiny yet. I haven't even started Destiny yet. So like, this is not.
I know a
But
lot
you
of
know,
people. I know a lot of people not in turbo mode or whatever. They're running it at 720p 60 on
Mhm.
the Ally and said it runs really good.
Okay. Oh, game platforms. Game Pass, EA Origin, Steam, of
Origin.
course, Epic Game Store, Ubisoft Connect, and GOG.
Okay.
Or Uplay, or whatever the fuck they want to call it. It seems like every year they change the name of that damn of Ubisoft.
It's called Uplay now. The thing is called Uplay, and the subscription is called Uplay Plus. So they're unifying the synergy of the brand. You know,
Till we get to the Nexus.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Assassin's Creed Nexus. Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I can get
the Infinity.
Oh, if I pre-order Starfield through my ROG Ally, I get 10% off.
Ooh, nice.
But you also will get it on Game Pass.
Yeah, I know.
So why would you pre-order it if you just get it on Game Pass?
What if he wants to play like 72 hours early?
Well, actually, I said this. Remember Pat back on the EXP cast when I was on there for the showcase for you guys. I said like I would actually drop money for Starfield. Like I would actually pay for an actual legit copy for it. I still haven't changed my opinion on that yet.
Oh, I'm excited for Starfield. I think that game's going to be amazing. Even though he like came out and said only 10% of the planets have life, just to make it realistic. 10% out of 1,000 is still like 100 planets.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that game is incredibly. What did he say? It was irresponsibly large. Is that what he said at some point?
I think that was the statement.
Yeah, man, I gotta figure out how to come up with $700. Maybe I'll get rid of my PlayStation.
You'll be
after
sorry.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah, after Final Fantasy. So I don't know. I really want a handheld device of some sort. Is anybody playing anything else worth noting because what are you playing, Steph?
Nocturnal. And I know it's like, what's that? I'm still championing that indie game. So it came out. It's by Dear Villagers. I did a 1v1 with Guillaume, the president of publishing. I bought it on my own. It's not like I was given a key for it. But I got the notice that the game dropped. I wasn't able to play Nocturnal at PAX. There was just too much. And, when you have too much, you can only kind of judge a book by its cover and pick what you can play. And I really like it. And no, it's not a game that does something groundbreaking or new. So if you're looking for something that'll blow your socks off, well, no. But it's a solid game. Like the game, because some people like they prefer like story. Some people prefer gameplay. Like people would say Nintendo prioritizes gameplay over story, for example. Nocturnal is excellent gameplay. It's a mix of platforming. It's an action adventure. Really light RPG elements. I mean, really light. Puzzler. Goodness, I'm forgetting. But you play as this man that returned from training or a war to an island, and almost everybody's dead. It's shrouded in this black or dark mist, and you use fire.
I
to
remember
solve
this.
puzzles.
I remember seeing the trailer for this game. I remember this.
Yeah, you light your sword on fire, and you just go. It's a 2D side scroller, and it's a blast. And they actually take the time to make the background interactable. Like when your sword's on fire and you just start swinging around, you can set shit on fire that really is not like consequential, but it's fun. Set banners on fire, rugs on fire, plants on fire. Lots of different type of puzzles, so it's not always the same thing. There's some fights in there. It's some challenging boss battles. Everybody that is alive is calling you a traitor, so you want to know what happens. It's pretty tight gameplay. That's why I wrote a review on it, because I'm literally at the end with the end boss. I just keep dying, but I'm essentially there. What I mean by light RPG elements is if you collect enough ash, you can kind of like pick branching skills, quote unquote, like increased health or increased speed when your blade's on fire, or increased time with fire on your blade. So it's not fully fleshed out, but it's there. They got some decent lore as well. So I don't know, for an indie game, it's got great aesthetics, great lore, great gameplay. If you like anything of the genres that I mentioned, 2D side scroller, action adventure, puzzle, platformer with light RPG elements, I cannot recommend Nocturnal enough.
Cool.
That's my spiel.
Sounds fun.
Corey, I played one of your favorite games.
I know. I see. Are you
Uh-huh.
enjoying Pikmin 1?
I am enjoying Pikmin 1. It is a little tense when you like look at the 30 days
Yeah.
and knowing that you have only 30 days. But I have now finished 14 days and I have 19 out of the 30 parts. I literally only have the fourth level to get everything in that one. Like I cleared out the first 3.
Yeah. You can 100% that game in 17 days.
I believe it.
Yeah.
I'm just not that like I can somewhat multitask in that game, but like I imagine once you kind of get the gist of like where everything is and like what to expect, then it's easier to know which Pikmin to grab and run to the objectives. But I think I'm doing pretty damn good with 19 parts in 14 days.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
I'm hoping to get all 30.
Yeah, there's there to do that in 17 days, you have to follow like a really strict guide and really like know the layout of the land and everything, right? So it's hard. It's really hard.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're playing
It's
it though.
simple. It's fun. It's both relaxing and like, frustrating. The nice thing is that, if you really screw up, you can restart the day and, with the knowledge of why you screwed up and then make it better.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Does it look okay on Switch? I mean, does it look like a GameCube game that's been up-res?
Yeah, that's actually what it looks like. It's an HD GameCube game now.
Yeah. Not like Metroid Prime Remastered. Not that pretty.
Not that pretty. But it's still like it's not bad.
Yeah.
It's playable.
Yeah. The only other game that I played besides Final Fantasy and Zelda was I did start Smooshy Come Home. So
yeah,
it's very fun. It's very cute. It's very simple and easy to get into. It's super cute. So
yeah, I'll be playing that on my plane ride to LA. That's on my to play list while I'm on vacation.
I bet you can beat it on the entire play ride.
Probably 2 or 3 times.
Well, I think it took me like 5 hours to 100% it. So.
Oh, did it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's longer than I expected it to be. It's okay.
100%, literally like finding everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I don't know if Stephanie goes that far.
I'm not that smart.
If you want to be a Patreon producer, head on over to Patreon, patreon.com/BossRushMedia, and find out which tier is right for you. Our Patreon producers at the $5 tier or higher for this month are Adriel Munger, Austin Campbell, Celeste Roberts, Christian S., Sana Dierig, Francisco Santillan, and Rebecca Jewell. Thank you for your continued support.
Do it for some humble onion.
Oh boy, he was cool. I'm glad we had him on. But
It's great.
Speaking of people that aren't that smart, let's talk about this FTC hearing with Microsoft a little bit. We're not going to go over the whole thing. Obviously, of this recording, we still have one more day of court hearings and stuff like that. But man, this thing is getting ridiculous.
Yeah,
it's man, the things that are coming out of this and like some of the leaks and some of the especially all the documents that came out today about redacted information about especially like how much things cost and like how Microsoft purchased Ninja Theory for only $117 million and how much Sony spends on their games and how much Call of Duty means to PlayStation financially, really, which was a number that really blew my mind. I mean, $15.8 million in 2021. $1 billion. Billion. What?
Gamers, what are y'all doing with your lives? Gamers.
Play something else. Go outside.
Touch grass.
This is like, man, okay, so basically Call of Duty is as big, to like first person game or first person shooters is like FIFA is to like, like the European Union.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. And like the fact that they don't want to include Nintendo
God,
Switch
Madden
on this
isn't even this big anymore.
Oh, I know. Madden's gone way downhill, but they should make a better game if they want people to buy it. So LeRon, how are you feeling about this? Who's winning? Who's gonna win? Is Microsoft is this gonna close in Microsoft's favor, you think?
I don't think this deal is ever in danger. I think a lot of this right now is theater, especially given the fact that, like some of the people presiding over this whole thing are just out of touch because like there was a situation where someone asked Phil Spencer, is he the one that makes decisions about like how much an equipment is going to be purchased and who are they going to be acquired? And he's like, no, like the CEO of Microsoft, Satya Nadella, yeah, does that. The judge residing over it did not know who Satya Nadella was, and I'm like, dude, isn't that something you're supposed to know going into this? Like, you're supposed to know all parties involved and stuff like that,
Yeah, and he was there for all 3 days or 4 days so far. Satya Nadella has been there since day one, and they don't know who he was today when they went to, or yesterday when they were questioning Phil Spencer all day. That's embarrassing. Super embarrassing. Sorry. But also like, man, did you see some of the stuff Jim Ryan was saying in his videos too?
Yeah. Like, and now I'm curious, because like, this is almost, now kangaroo court is not the right word for it. Like this, the video stuff is, huh?
This is court TV. This is watching like the Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard trial all over again.
Yeah, legit. Yeah, yeah. Especially with the video testimonial.
Did Jim shit on Phil's pillow? Is that
well, let's just say that the size dog that Microsoft has cannot make that kind of a shed. That size of a shed.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Now, one thing that's really noteworthy, like in this whole thing, is that Matt Booty, they had an email from like what 2019 or 2020, where Matt Booty said, Matt Booty said like Microsoft should just go ahead and spin Sony out of business to put Xbox on the map,
Yeah, which is like I'm sure he didn't mean it like that, right? I'm sure he just meant it in like, we got to do something. Why don't we, you know what I mean? But like, I don't think, I think the overall point of business is to try to outdo your competitor to the point where maybe they just quit at some point.
True.
But also, I mean, how many things have we ever said that were super over exaggerated like that? So
shoot for the stars, you'll reach the moon.
Yeah, it's I don't know. I also think Matt Booty does say things sometimes that are like, that's interesting that you said that in an email. But also some of the things Jim Ryan was coming back with in emails that came out today were like, oh boy, like him and who was the other person in the email thing where they said Microsoft would have been better off buying an electric car because we're going to block this merger or whatever.
Like for those that work in a corporate or office setting, I'm pretty sure this is not excusing anyone, but when I see this, I'm like, this is all of us at our own companies probably writing emails that if any of us were ever to be pulled into a lawsuit, maybe not directly, but just because of not related to you, but they got to pull everything.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably some shit either you've said or someone else has said that like is not meant to be either harmful or whatever, but is flat out stupid, so that in context we all know it's either a joke or not to be taken seriously or literally. But then when someone shines a big fucking light on it, like in this case, everyone's like, you dumbass.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. So again, it's not to excuse it, but I'm like, yeah, that's every fucking company.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, it's and then they kept like the two things they were like really focused on like hardcore were Call of Duty and the Nintendo Switch for some reason. Like, man, even everybody online was like, get out your bingo card. It's time to how long until they mentioned Nintendo Switch in the hearing? And it was like within the first hour of the hearing today. Again,
you know, it's so funny. Like I can just see Nintendo over in Japan. Nintendo.
They're going to be in court.
Like,
they're going to be in court tomorrow. Nintendo has a representative going tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah.
And I guarantee you, at some point, Nintendo's like, "Why am I in this?
Yeah.
Why am I in this?"
Who's going?
It's like
tomorrow?
you already have our blessing. Just do what you need to.
Like, who's on first and what's second? And who's
Nintendo's
stealing
like,
gold?
we don't care.
Yeah.
We don't care.
Give us a deal with Call of Duty, fine. You know.
Yeah, it's just like I gotta look up who the Nintendo representative is going to be tomorrow.
Let me-
He's like the
Wait, I get the Call of Duty thing. Well, meaning like I get why it's one of the more talked about things. I don't know. Can someone please still help me understand why Nintendo Switch or Nintendo's brought up so much?
because Call of Duty and not a lot. I mean, some of Activision Blizzard's games don't make it to Nintendo Switch because it is technically inferior to the new consoles, and the
Speaking
FTC,
of inferiority,
the FTC is trying to argue that Nintendo doesn't count when talking about console sales because it is technically inferior to the other consoles, and that a lot of these games don't make it over. And Microsoft also signed a 10-year deal with Nintendo to say we're going to bring all of Activision Blizzard's games, including Call of Duty, to your consoles, including future consoles. Which, by the way, that's 2 slip-ups this week, acknowledging Nintendo's next console, which we're going to talk about on Nintendo Power Block next week.
Ooh, I feel like I want to be on that show.
Well, we're recording after Tower Casuals tomorrow night, so if you want to stay
never mind.
Because reasons. So yeah, it's like I mean, Ubisoft slipped up, and now Bobby Kotick kind of said something today about it. So it's yeah, but
by the way, the clownery is going on right now. Like, I understand why Bobby's doing the freaking soft shoe right now for Microsoft, because like he wants this paycheck and stuff like that.
Well, yeah,
but like a lot of like Kotick is I think Kotick's one of the main reasons why Microsoft's hand got forced in trying to do something as far as Activision Blizzard is concerned, because like a few years back, like he was basically putting a squeeze on Microsoft and Xbox, to pony up more money, to be able to like get, like
the
all these
80-20
features
split.
for the 80-20 split and all that stuff. Yeah, to get all these features for Call of Duty and to get day one, to like kind of like bogard like Sony's exclusivity, to it.
Which is another thing too that came out, where Microsoft is having to do that split across the board now, because to keep people on their console and to keep them relevant, because obviously PlayStation has been doing much better and Microsoft has been losing, and to keep certain companies happy or to have marketing deals with them, they've been doing the 80-20 split almost across the board on these big AAA,
Some of Microsoft's problems were problems they created for themselves, though. Because like remember back when the original Xbox came out, and I can't remember who said it, but basically when they talked about what do you call that old controller, the Duke or something like that?
Yeah, the Duke, man, it's awesome. I love that controller.
Remembers how someone got up on like at a press conference and said like our controllers are big because like our gamers have big hands. It was just basically it was an insult to Japanese gamers and stuff like that.
It was also like in that, I don't know if you guys watched the Xbox documentary that came out a few years ago, but Bonnie Ross, who's the former head of 343, was on and was like, we didn't play Xbox because the controllers were too big and they were like favoring men because, it was like, oh, and then that's, a lot of the reasons why the controller S ended up coming out was because Xbox kind of ignored women in the foreign markets who are just generally smaller people, right? So, yeah, which I don't know. I like the Duke, but I'm also a large human, so I guess I don't.
No, that controller was big for me, and I have big hands. That controller was big for me.
It was an odd controller for sure.
Yeah, and this is saying a lot considering that I played around with the fucking Nintendo 64 controller. That thing was gaudy.
Yeah. It's like, hey, I played with an N64.
But yeah. I feel like honestly, like Xbox has put themselves behind the curveball from day one, and now like the chickens have come to roost. Technically, because
I wouldn't say day one. I would actually point at the launch of the Xbox One. To be honest with you, with like
that's fair.
With the always online thing, the not being able, like, even if you bought a game physically, like your game was tied to your account or whatever, the license was tied to your account and you couldn't trade it in, you couldn't share it with friends, like the weird family friend sharing system they had or were trying to implement. The Kinect always had to be plugged in and you had to control your Xbox through the Kinect, the TV stuff. Like, their entire messaging was terrible. Also, PlayStation came out, it was $100 cheaper, it was more powerful, they had more exclusives at launch that were aimed more towards gamers. They had marketing deals with companies like Bungie, and they got exclusive stuff. I mean, that's why when Destiny first launched, they had a ton of exclusive stuff on PlayStation, and so and a lot of people don't want to spend as much money on things. If they can get something cheaper, then they're going to go that way, right? It's just that I still think that's why the Nintendo Switch sells so well, is because you can get a Switch Lite for $200. You can get you can find deals for Nintendo Switches for under $250 all the time, right? If you're searching. And so, and that's why in terms of like Xbox, siloing Xbox off for a second, that's why the Series S is doing much better than the Series X, is because it's $200 cheaper.
It's cheaper, yeah.
And like I saw deals on Amazon the other day. You could get like some sort of bundle with 2 controllers, and I forget what the game they had bundled in with it, but it was $229.
Wow.
And I'm like, for a Series S, that's incredible.
$40,
an incredible
$30,
deal,
and you get all that shit. Wow.
Yeah. So and I don't know, man. I don't even remember where this conversation started. Oh yeah, like I would say, like, with the launch of the Xbox One, like, they really screwed themselves and they didn't have the exclusives. Also, like, they forced Halo out, which was supposed to be like their saving grace. The Master Chief Collection was broken when it came out. Halo 5 was not good, for a lot of reasons, and they just when Xbox.
This was a layup.
They almost put Xbox out of, like, they almost shut down the Xbox division, right? Phil had to like convince Microsoft to keep the Xbox brand alive, and they were going to turn it around. And like, yes, they are finally turning it around, but like, they lost the most important generation. Phil said that in interviews, right? With like building your digital library, getting communities together, having an online presence, right? Like, all these things were done during the Xbox One PS4 generation, and it's the path to quote unquote victory is more narrow in terms of console sales than ever before. So they had to change their business model, right? So they went to subscriptions, and then they put their first party games on day one. And like, yeah, they have a lot of great games coming up, but like, you can't really survive on like Sea of Thieves, Crackdown, and Gears 5, right? I mean, if you're talking about the Xbox One era, like, Gears 5 was amazing, and Sea of Thieves is secretly one of their biggest games, but like, the average person doesn't care about that, right? Like the hardcore Xbox fans, they want Halo, they want Gears, they want everything that was announced at this last showcase. They want Fable, right? Like they want the Xbox games they love. And so PlayStation pumping out exclusives, whether they're pumping out 2 or 3 a year, whatever, the quality is there, and they don't have, you know, even if you have to wait a little bit longer, regardless of what you think of the games as games, like the quality and the production is there, and that's something Microsoft's been lacking. And so,
speaking of exclusives, did you see the thing recently where it came out? It came out not so long ago, actually. So you guys might have missed it. Satya Nadella basically said that he's not a fan of console exclusives.
Yeah, that was today.
Yeah, and he blames Sony for that. You know, which Sony wasn't the first. Sony was the first game in town that had fucking exclusives. I mean, shit. Like, hello Nintendo. You know, hello Sega. Hello.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Satya Nadella doesn't look like he goes home and plays games every night, right? I mean, he kind of like, I think he supports the Xbox brand, and he's learned a lot because the brand is important to a lot of people, and Microsoft in general. But like, I mean, that's why Phil Spencer runs the show and not him, right? That's why people answer to Phil and not him, you know? And so,
I mean, in a perfect world, I agree with him, though. I would get rid of console exclusives, too, because like I've said it on this show, I've said it on Crossroads, I've said it on Pal Block, you know, I've said it on every podcast I've ever been on. The more people who have access to games, the better it is for everybody, developers, publishers, gamers, you know, everybody wins when like everybody has a chance to play all these games, stuff like that. But, you know, looking at things now, you know, like, okay, so one thing that I did take note is like Sony basically made a mad dash and bought Bungie, even though Bungie on paper is a high risk, you know, is a high risk company for them. Yeah. You know, but they did it in reaction to like Microsoft snapping up ZeniMax Bethesda.
Yeah. I also think like, if you look at Microsoft's portfolio, games as a service is something they actually do pretty well. If you look at Sea of Thieves, State of Decay, Forza, like these games, their live service games are actually somewhere where they don't lack. So like, I think having a high burn rate with something like Bungie would actually like not be as valuable to them as someone like Sony, who focuses on a lot of third person, you know, over the shoulder single player experiences. And is trying to get into the live service arena clearly. And so also, I don't know if Microsoft didn't pursue them harder because they didn't want the backlash of like, oh, shut down 343. We want Bungie to make Halo again. Right. And that I wonder how much that played into the decision too.
You bring up a good point on that.
Just because like, and I know that sounds stupid and silly from like a business standpoint, but also like, it's not really that dumb. Like everybody still, the Master Chief Collection is one of the most played games on Xbox, like still to this day. And Halo Infinite is even in the top 30, which is their newest game. So, you know, it's people love Bungie the way that they love Nintendo, or, you know, if you're looking at Sony Studios, the way they love Naughty Dog or Sucker Punch, like they love Bungie. You know, I'm one of those people too. You know, I love Bungie. I love Halo. I can't wait for Marathon. Halo 3 was like my second most played game on Xbox 360, right? Like it's incredible. So I wonder how much that played into it. I mean, that whole list of studios though that they were pursuing at some point or another, like LeRon, you sent the Square Enix thing, and like I don't know how serious that was, but the fact that they actually made up a proposal like says a lot at this point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I feel like we joked about it a while back though. Like Microsoft was basically trying to do a mad dash and like try to get like, you know, as many companies behind them, you know, and stuff like that. You know, Square Enix, just like Capcom, has turned around a lot, you know. So like, you know, like they're not in a position where they want to sell. Like if they sell, it's because like they just want to get out of the business, you know. At this point, you know.
Well, you know, I also wonder if this passes, if this leaves the door open for Sony to buy Square Enix.
That's a good possibility. That's a good possibility because
Square shed a lot of studios to be more desirable, right? Like they shed IO Interactive. They shed all, like, obviously all the Western, like Eidos Montreal and Crystal Dynamics, and there's another studio, I think it was their mobile studio, that they shed too, and Embracer Group bought them, right? And I wonder if that was to position themselves to be more desirable to purchase, because it just, you know, they can focus on JRPGs, they can focus on what they love. I think Forspoken, regardless of what you think of that game, was like the last of the quote unquote, we don't know what direction we're going in games, you know, and I think Final Fantasy XVI is like the pinnacle of where they want to go moving forward. And that makes them really desirable, you know?
Yeah.
So,
what
else? What else were they looking to buy? IO Interactive, which that exclusive deal came out about Project Fantasy, was really interesting.
Well, did we mention Sega?
Yeah, Sega was another big one, which was
Sega was another.
I've been a big proponent for Sega for a couple years. If they want to break into the Japanese market and they can't get Square games,
that would be the one. Yeah,
that would be the one.
Because
that would be the one.
You have your kids' games, right, with Monkey Ball and Sonic. You have your RPGs with Persona and Shin Megami Tensei, and you have
all them goddamn Yakuza games.
Yeah, Yakuza. Like, I mean, we did a whole episode on like, what if Sega made their own console? Like, you have your online, your MMO with Phantasy Star. Like, Sega's quietly one of the bigger doing, like, they're secretly doing amazing, you know, to the point where like Sonic, like, yeah, Sonic is still their mascot, but like Sonic might not be the biggest thing they do anymore, you know.
No,
I feel like a Dragon is about to take over the world for them.
Yeah,
it's going to be Kiryu and Kazuma going to be standing right there.
Yeah,
teaming the Sega logo.
Yeah, I mean, I really wish they wouldn't have tried to do this agreement, but I feel like if they don't do this if this agreement doesn't go through, this is gonna like really hurt the brand in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But I wish they would have taken that money and like spent it on other studios. Like, yes, I would have loved Bungie to come back to Microsoft. I would have loved them to have Sega to have a Japanese presence, right? Their only Japanese presence is Tango Gameworks, right? I would have loved for them to go after Crystal Dynamics and Eidos Montreal, because that covers the third-person action games that they so sorely need. And that also brings in IP like Thief and Deus Ex, and you could like get that, you know, with Eidos Montreal and how good those Deus Ex games were, mixed with Arcane with Dishonored and Deathloop and Prey. Like, you would have had that immersive sim categories wrapped up. You obviously have the Western RPG side wrapped up, aside from like BioWare and, you know, what's left of BioWare, I guess. You know, and what was the other one? IO would have been a really interesting one, especially if they wanted to keep doing Hitman episodes or whatever. Also, you're doing that Project Fantasy, which is exclusive. Also, the other thing that came out too was that Indiana Jones is exclusive to Xbox, which is exciting.
I mean, we knew that though.
No, we didn't. We didn't know.
No. I'm pretty sure we knew that was exclusive to Xbox.
We didn't. It was brand new. We thought it might be after, but we didn't know if Disney would want them to keep it multi-platform. But they reworked the deal after the merge.
Yeah, they reworked the deal. Yeah, after the Bungie thing.
So, but yeah, man, there's a lot of other names. Thunderful was on that list.
Wait. Oh, shut the front door.
Where is that list? Because there's a ton of.
Hold on. Like, they just dropped Ghouls and Ghosts to Switch Online.
Yeah.
So long, everybody.
well,
I guess that's on it right here.
Yeah.
And Landstalker. What? Revenge of Shinobi.
Here we go.
This is what happens when I'm out of town for a week.
Jeez. So yeah, I mean, I don't know, but I feel like if this deal doesn't go through, this is really going to hurt Xbox in a lot of ways that may not be prevalent initially, but may show itself later.
Oh yeah, it's gonna. You're gonna see the vultures circling if this. I feel like honestly, like the the theater that's happening here with the FTC trials right now, like I don't think that's going to hurt them unless like some bombshells come out, like because right now it's looking like they're putting egg on Jim Ryan's face. Jim Ryan, for the most part, has done what he was supposed to do and everything. I do feel that like because he did a video interview versus an in-person interview, this probably hurts him more, in the long run. But honestly, I feel like this deal is going through, but I think there's going to be some repercussions. There's going to be some stuff that because what doesn't this thing, the chickens come to roost? What, July 18th for Microsoft? Like the rulings happen. Oh, the 17th. Okay, yeah. I feel like there's going to be some stipulations. Number one, like Call of Duty, like they're not even going to be able to get a 10-year deal. Like they're going to be forced. Like as long as Call of Duty is a game that comes out, like it's going to have to be on multi-platform, no matter what. Even if that means it goes to your direct competitor. That was a revelation right there, right? Because Microsoft owns certain studios now. PS5 dev kits didn't make it to certain studios.
Yeah, that's why like Minecraft doesn't have a PS5.
PS5 version, yeah, and stuff like that. And say what you will, like that's like Corey, if you and I were brainstorming to create like a brand new piece of electronics and stuff like that, like we wouldn't walk it across the street to IGN,
Yeah, yeah, it's some of the stuff is just. It's ridiculous. It's crazy. I think
some of it's ridiculous, but a lot of it's also common sense. Some of the stuff, if people will stop fanboying for a second, they'll understand this is common sense for some of it. You know.
Here's the thing. If this goes through, I think a lot of the games like Call of Duty, Diablo, Overwatch, whatever else, like big multiplayer, multi-platform games need to stay multi-platform, and I think Microsoft has already said as much, really, in this hearing, right? Like the email came out that Phil said that those games would stay multi-platform. He even quote unquote swore by oath that as long as Call of Duty is being made, it'll come to PlayStation, and as long as there's a PlayStation, Call of Duty will come to it at the hearing a couple days ago. And so, that's where I'm at. I think unless like some of these smaller studios like Toys for Bob, if they made like a Banjo game, right, like that would obviously be Xbox exclusive. If they're working on Microsoft IP, then those are going to be Xbox exclusive. But like, I think some of these multi-platform games have to stay multi-platform. Like if there's a Diablo 5 sometime in the next 20 years, like that'll probably be multi-platform. I think Activision Blizzard largely is going to act independent of Microsoft for the most part in terms of the games being made and what platforms they're on. So unless Jimbo doesn't provide the PlayStation 6 dev kits like he said he wasn't.
Hey man, it's funny. It's funny watching Uncle Phil and Daddy Jim do the slap fight though. Like it's funny.
Did you see the meme? Did you see the meme, the Yakuza Phil meme going around?
No, I've not seen that.
No, let's work.
He commented on it too.
Oh my god, Yakuza Phil.
Yeah, Phil. Yeah.
No, not Yakuza Philippines. You stupid.
Yeah, I know. I got that too.
Here, I'm putting the link in the chat.
Oh no! That's funny.
Oh man, that's so funny. That tweet is so funny. It's so good.
The hilarity.
Yeah. So, I mean, any final thoughts on this before we kind of wrap this up? I know we've been going a little long.
I know. Yeah. This is the longest show, but well, going back real fast to what you said about like the stuff that was already multi-platform and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I think that's kind of where the trust eroded overall, because like, for example, okay, so it looked like Starfield was pointing in the direction of being a PS5 exclusive and not coming to Xbox, right?
Mhm.
But it wasn't actually confirmed or whatnot. So stuff like that, you know. So the bad faith
Well, didn't
stuff
they
that
confirm
happened.
it on like the second day where they were talking about Starfield exclusivity, and Microsoft said that PlayStation was paying Bethesda to keep it exclusive, just like Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo. So they felt like they had to buy the
Oh, to
content.
keep it exclusive.
Mhm.
Okay, I read it differently. I thought they
Yeah.
paid for the limited, the short term exclusivity
Yeah,
and whatnot.
no, I mean Deathloop and Ghostwire Tokyo are both supposed to be PlayStation exclusives until Microsoft bought Bethesda.
Okay.
So
Well, I mean, and that's the thing about it too. Like, you know, like Microsoft made a power play, you know, to buy, which I respect that. Like to keep yourself viable and stuff. If you have the money to invest in it, you invest in it. You know, which is why we've seen like all sorts of crazy stuff happening. Like I mentioned the Bungie buyout, you know, from with Sony and stuff like that. You know, it's just a lot of it just wound up looking bad faith because like look what happened. Like like Sony bought Bungie, but Destiny is not going anywhere. Like people can still play it on any platform. You know.
Yeah, Marathon is
nothing.
also confirmed multi-platform, and so is Matter, which is their third
Yeah.
IP they're working on.
Yeah. So it seems like, and I guarantee you people are going to be up in their comments like, oh, LeRon, the Sony pony and all that stuff. What the fuck ever, you know, because like I'm all about fair play and stuff like that. You know, like, yeah, I always two sides it because, you know, like I always give Ed shit about why the Mass Effect, you know, like the Legendary Edition is not on the Switch. You know, I give him shit about that. But at the same time, I also see how things play out and how things work. You know, like if things are initially announced to be multi-platform, you know, and when I say multi-platform, that means it has to be announced including the Switch.
Yeah,
because poor Nintendo Switch, you know, if things are announced to be multi-platform, like you got to keep the faith. You can't erode the trust and stuff like that because, like, ultimately, what you do is you basically make gamers themselves like their heads start spinning and stuff like that. You know, to the point where they'll actually hate your company, which is we saw a little bit of that backlash earlier in the year where all of a sudden people were just like attacking like either Microsoft or attacking Sony behind all this stuff that's going on, stuff like that. So I'm kind of glad this stuff is happening right now at the FTC and all these leaks are happening and stuff like that. So we actually get to look behind the curtain, you know, see what's going on because when us gamers don't know shit, we jump to some crazy ass conclusions.
it's true.
Yeah, I would say that out of all this, like, it just reveals that, you know, console wars are stupid and that both of them are corporations. You know, they both, like, are going to pull some rotten moves. Activision probably being the biggest dick out of all of them, you know, with trying to pit them together and use that leverage. But that's how businesses are run, and it sucks that it's profit over gamers. But
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business, right? And they got to do the businessy things. But any final thoughts, Stephanie? Sorry, I kind of interrupted you on accident.
No, it's okay. I mean, I said my piece. I mimic exactly what Pat said, and I kind of am leaning kind of towards that same thought, Corey. I think overall, I think it'll go through. There'll definitely be some stipulations, and I also take a bit from LeRon about a lot of this being theatrics. So
yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I wonder how this is all like. I wonder how many people are buying into the optics of this too. You know, like how many like the console wars. Yes, they're stupid, but there's still people that participate in them, right? And it's like, well, how many view Microsoft as the bad guy here and are going to support PlayStation, or how many people view Microsoft as like the underdog, so they're going to go support them and be super fans, right? And you know,
this is no different than American politics. You know, you're going to have
Yes.
like all the dirt.
Thank you for saying that.
You can literally throw as much dirt as you want, or reveal as much dirt and skeletons and like documents in someone's closet, and they're still going to believe 100% that person's their savior.
Yeah,
exactly. If anything, this is just bringing out. I mean, gamers already can be really toxic and ugly. I think this is drawing out a lot of ugly in people.
To use one of my favorite political terms, and then we can wrap this up. When you put lipstick on a pig.
Oh boy.
Thank you, Barack Obama.
I do have one more question, but it's not related to Xbox, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So tomorrow is the Annapurna showcase, which for me I'm excited about, and I will miss because I think I'll be at the airport. But
you better get on that Wi-Fi.
That $25 cross-country Wi-Fi gross.
Do you think that there'll be any mention of Annapurna's collab for Silent Hill, or do you think they're going to leave that to a Silent Hill specific transmission like last time?
I think that could be announced tomorrow.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, Annapurna is one of the collaborators.
Yeah.
What if that last black and white picture with the cat? What if that's part of the Silent Hill?
Well, wasn't that Stray? Wasn't that just Stray?
It was.
Yeah, well, I mean, Stray's coming to Xbox. That's like.
I hope there's more than that, though. I hope there's DLC.
Meowsy? No, that's bad.
Okay, that's it.
So, all right. Well, let's get out of here. I want to thank everybody for watching and or listening to this episode of the Boss Rush Podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Boss Rush Network. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're watching on YouTube for the first time, subscribe to the channel. If you want to, know when the podcast goes up, you can hit the bell. Smash the bell. As the kids say.
Sure.
You can also listen to us on podcast services. You can get us early for $1 on Patreon, along with some other goodies. Our shout out spotlight episode with Jeff Gardner went up this week with me and LeRon.
Woohoo!
Go listen to it. It was an awesome conversation. Coming up, Pat and I talked to Chris Bergman from Guily Games last night. That episode should be coming out soon. Stephanie and I also did one with Ed with Way Forward, which is out also. You and Pat did one with Black Tabby Games, which is out. So a lot of developer spotlights coming up. Very, very excited about one in particular. TBD on that, though. Just going to leave it there. So, Pat, Stephanie, LeRon, thank you for your time tonight. Appreciate you all.
Of course.
I appreciate you all out there listening.
We love you.
Until next time. We love you. Goodbye.
Bye.
So long.
The Boss Rush Podcast is a product of Boss Rush Media, LLC, and is recorded from our headquarters in Akron, Ohio. This show is produced, written, and directed by me, Corey Dierig. My co-hosts are Stephanie Klimov, LeRon Dawkins, and Edward Varnell. You can find Stephanie at Klimov_author on Twitter and Instagram, as well as on the EXPcast. You can find LeRon at Exodus803 on Twitter, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube, and also on Crossroads, the video game podcast. You can find Edward at ThatRetroCode on Twitter and Instagram, as well as hosting Nintendo Power Block. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at IamCoreyInHD, and find me hosting Tower Casuals, the Destiny podcast, and co-hosting Nintendo Power Block. Find the Boss Rush Podcast on all social media platforms at Boss Rush Podcast. You can also follow Boss Rush Media and Boss Rush Network on all major social media platforms. Join the Boss Rush Network Discord and Facebook groups to interact with other friends and fans. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.